The trade developed along the waterways that stretched inland from Lynn, and the town expanded and quickly infilled the space between the two rivers, Millfleet to the south and Porfleet to the north. In the Middle Ages, merchants in the North Germany and the Baltic were organized into Hanseatic League. The Hanseatic merchants did much trade with the bishops' Lynn, and in 1475 the Hanseatic warehouses were built for them. Bishop's Lynn grew rich on trade both within Britain and abroad. The Hanseatic League contributed greatly to the prosperity of the town. The legacy of trade can be found in many merchants' houses that still remain today in King's Lynn. As we follow to 29 Queen Street, which still serves as an excellent example of a 17th century merchants' houses with the front remodeled in the 18th century. It contains one of the early pine-paneled rooms, indicating the association with the Hanseatic League. Other rooms are paneled in oak, and there are two fireplaces remaining. There are two 17th century warehouses in the north and the west of the courtyard, where there's a lead pump dated back to 1774. The buildings in the coastal towns of Hanseatic League were usually built from deep red to light yellow bricks. Different gables and facades produces houses with an individual design which can still be seen today in 29 Queen Street. Located on St. Margaret's Lane, the Hanseatic Warehouse is the only surviving Hanse building in England. It was constructed in 1475 as a part of the Treaty of Utrecht, allowing Hanse to establish a trading depot in Lynn for the first time. It was used as such until 1751, by which time the river has receded. It was then sold to Lynn merchant Edward Everard for £800. He added the Georgian townhouse at the east side of the building, which is now known as St. Margaret's House, after the nearby church. In 1971, it was renovated as part of the preservation project and converted into offices by the Norfolk County Council. It is currently used by the council for various functions, including weddings at its house, Lynn's registry office. The building is also known as the Contour. King's Lynn lies at the mouth of the river Great Ouse, just south of its confluence with the Vost. Historically, King's Lynn was one of the English's most important ports, trading with countries throughout the world. The Porfleet was the main harbor inlet of medieval Lynn, where ships docked at the town near the customs house, past quay near the St. Margaret's Church. Purfleet Quay was built in 1547 and was a navigable waterway, taking boats to the center of the Lynn. Its quay was used by pilgrims passing to and from the shrine at Walsingham, and badges worn by the medieval pilgrims were retrieved from Fleet in around 1900s. The Purfleet was once much wider to the south than it is today, and was a safe harbor from any English and foreign ships trading through the Lynn. By 1700s, the Purfleet had silted up too much to compete with the better mooring facilities offered at the Cummins Lathe further north, designed during the Industrial Revolution. However, the Purfleet mast was used for fitting out of ships into the 19th century, and grain ships continued to dock there until the 1960s. Whilst the surrounding structure and equipment are now more modern, the docks themselves are still the same today. The Custom House stands on Purfleet Quay, which marks the northern limit of the first medieval town and the start of the second. The Custom House was constructed in 1684-1685 from the Dutch-influenced designs of Henry Bell for Sir John Turner. The purpose of the Custom House was to serve as a merchant's exchange. Built of Ketton stone, this was Lynn's first classical building. It was one of the town's most iconic landmarks. Initially, Custom occupied only the top floor, and the ground floor was used by merchants for trading. However, merchants were unhappy that they were so far from the Tuesday marketplace, and by 1717, Customs occupied the entire building. 300 years later, the building is no longer used by Customs, but it still allows a gateway to the town as it houses the town's tourist information office. The building was described by architect Nicholas Pevsner as one of the most perfect buildings ever built.
An expansion of King's Lynn was dictated by Bishop William Turbis in 1200. This expansion included the construction of St. Nicholas's Chapel, as well as setting aside an area for a marketplace. The area was later confirmed as a market by the bishop in the 1500s, even though it had been long established by that time. This area still serves as King's Lynn's primary marketplace today. It becomes especially vibrant during a special annual market lasting 2 weeks every February. It also holds two festivals, King's Lynn Festival and Festival 2. The latter attracts crowds of more than 12,000 people and is one of the top 3 largest free music festivals in Europe. While the market is now used particularly for entertainment events and casual shopping, it was not always such a light-hearted place. Originally, the marketplace was often used for public punishments and hangings. When talking about the market, it is nearly impossible not to include some of these gruesome tales. For example, in 1531, a maidservant was boiled to death for murdering her mistress. Later, in 1616, a woman named Mary Smith was accused of witchcraft by a reverend. Mary confessed and was condemned to be hanged. It was said that her heart fell upon the reverend's house when she died and still adorns that same house today. Finally, in 1708, an 11-year-old girl and her 7-year-old brother were convicted of stealing a loaf of bread. They too were sentenced to death by public hanging to make an example of them. King's Lynn became prosperous from the 17th century onward through the export of corn. Thus, in 1854, the corn exchange was built within the market area. As the name suggests, it was originally used to sell corn, but eventually became transformed to house events such as Queen Victoria's Jubilee. It was refurbished in 1996 and is currently used for entertainment purposes, like concerts or roller skating parties. The Town Hall of King's Lynn has existed since the early 15th century, which was when the Guildhall of the Holy Trinity was built. It was expanded to include a large entrance hall in 1624, and then further enlarged in 1895. Each addition included extending the checkered exterior of the building, a feature which makes it easily recognizable. The hall also prominently displays a steep, arched roof and large bay windows. Additionally, the arms of Elizabeth I are clearly visible above the building's main window. Further up, the arms of Charles II were added 40 years later in the 1660s. Like the Customs House, the Town Hall is a Grade 1 building of increased historical, architectural, and cultural significance. Today, it houses events for entertainment such as literary conventions. As mentioned previously, St. Nicholas Chapel was constructed along with the marketplace around 1200 during Bishop William Turbis's expansion. It was once affiliated with, and inextricably rooted in, St. Margaret's Church. However, the St. Nicholas Chapel quickly grew in popularity. In 1426, St. Nicholas Chapel had congregations of 1,400 people compared to 1,600 people at St. Margaret's. Thus, the parishioners of St. Nicholas sought to separate themselves from St. Margaret's in 1379 and again in 1432. Both times they were denied christening fonts, the ability to conduct marriages, and the right to perform purification after childbirth. This was because St. Margaret's felt that St. Nicholas Chapel was merely boasting and had poor intentions for separation. After much negotiation and effort, St. Nicholas Chapel finally obtained baptismal rights in 1627. This victory was marginal, however, because the church remains a chapel of ease. This means that it is still dependent on St. Margaret's and is only existent to more conveniently serve a portion of their parish. Its close proximity to the market makes it King's Lynn's second most popular church, both in the past and today. St. Nicholas is England's largest surviving parochial church. Due to the aforementioned rise in popularity, it was rebuilt in 1380 and 1410 to accommodate growing numbers of attendees. The rebuilding also allowed it to utilize the perpendicular building style of the era. Its roof now features a series of carved angels made in the 15th century, and its tall spire distinguishes it from other churches. However, this spire is the third spire to adorn the church. The first spire was destroyed in a storm in 1741. The second spire was destroyed in 1854 because people declared that it was never a regular spire, but a kind of wooden extinguisher stuck on to be seen at sea. People felt that its ugliness detracted from the beauty of the building. Now, this gorgeous edifice is listed as a Grade 1 building due to its history and architecture in particular.
King's Lynn fits no one mold, as it appeals to many interests. We hope this short presentation helped give you some sense of this diversity, but, of course, it is no substitute for visiting the city yourself. Thank you.